All right, guys, welcome back to a live session for stock review tonight. We're going to be covering a few different plays. Pretty much the main plays I want to focus on tonight is probably, of course, we've got a lot of people impatient on PFMS. We'll go ahead and cover some on that. UNRG, probably going to cover some on AGGI, LVCA, HMLA, and probably a few others in there. But I want to go ahead and get started probably on UNRG, the crazy talk of the town. I mean, this play is unreal, the amount of interest that this thing keeps continually building. It kind of gives me a reminding of how much DCGD was, I mean, when it first started out, as far as being so much of a hype train. But it's now we're all sick and tired of hearing DCGD on our Twitters. And I guess there's a new feature there that someone introduced to me yesterday, I think it was, about how you can mute certain hashtags on your Twitter feed. So I'd have to look back into that to actually use it, but I haven't used it. But anyway, looking at UNRG, nice consolidation kind of period on Friday, because there was a lot of kind of neutral trading, I should say. We did have a little bit of a drop off where, you know, some shorting advantage was taking place during the slow period on Friday. It was low volume, kind of midday, around 1:30, something like that. And everybody's kind of waiting to hear, is this getting granted? Has it gotten granted yet? So with that said, yes, it did get granted. It was a little bit late, about an hour or so before close. We got confirmation from a actual Twitter page, but the guy that was on, what's it called here, Grassroots, the guy that was on actually there at the courtroom let us know that, hey, it was a closed court. He wasn't even allowed in the courtroom, but pretty much it was the judge in his chambers just signing filings, pretty much just signing away files away and confirming this and confirming that. And that's pretty much all it was. There was, you know, during this whole process, UNRG has not been contested. For a prior company to contest it, they have to submit their own filing of some sort to the court saying that they're contesting this custodianship. So with UNRG, with a dead CEO of the past company, it's dark, defunct, there was no contesting it. So there was no doubt in our minds that, hey, this is going to get granted for DeSanti. You know, let's go with it. So anyway, apparently he got granted, and this tweet came out from Grassroots. Apparently this was a new Twitter account that they had associated with it, which, you know, came to a lot of our surprises. But it says, we have been awarded custodianship of UNRG. We should have more updates next week regarding the plan for it. Have a great weekend. So obviously caught a bunch of people off guard when that first came out. It's kind of the same period. But yeah, you look through the filings. But anyway, look, everything looks good. According to people were questioning, was this Twitter page legit? And of course, there's always this thing right here. Doug, can you confirm this official Grassroots Twitter? And yes, he's confirming it. So, you know, shows that it's just obviously a new Twitter page associated to UNRG. Obviously, there's some news coming out expected soon. I did post kind of a little thing here, but he did say this yesterday on LinkedIn. Friday, LinkedIn, we're lining things up to have some catalysts for several weeks to months. Want to keep the momentum going. Bashers are attacking it full time. They're hard, heavy on it. Like I said, we're playing the play. As long as the story keeps flowing and keeps rolling, then there's money to be made. We'll see how far he actually takes us and how long it goes, but we got to be conservative with it. Outlandish price targets are pretty crazy, but of course he talks about eventually going to NASDAQ. OTC is kind of the starting point of where they build. But looking on the chart for tomorrow, with it being granted, the next stage in this phase is literally reinstatement. Then obviously getting some filings to get to pink current. Then obviously within those filings, you're going to kind of start getting some more detail, most likely, of this incoming merger or that Twitter page. I mean, keep good tabs on the Twitter page. They may give you a little sneak peek here and there of what's to come. Or DeSanti may let some words out about, you know, what he's really planning on doing with it, more than just due diligence diggers assessing a whole plan. So in this sense here, looking back on the chart, it looks like 40 is pretty much our first support. but 38.9 is kind of that hard support because it was its old 52-week high. So pretty much I want to count that as a good support area, 37.8 to 39. So, you know, it obviously tested that pretty much all day on Friday and fell below it to 32 for a brief moment where they attacked it and broke through it. And obviously that 32 holding, bouncing off because we have a 31.9 right here, and it never touched it. So I felt pretty confident, okay, we're not going to go below 31.9. Obviously at 32, came back right up pretty quickly and held that 37. And as we look back here, 37.8 to 39 is kind of our old 52-week high area. So we're holding above that well. With all this crazy interest and crazy hype going on, we could see this probably gap up in the morning is my guess, maybe as high as 45-ish. Could do more, I don't know. But we'll see what it does. I'd kind of like to not keep any gaps in the chart, hopefully, because we have these idiots that, oh, where there's a gap to fill, we got to bring it down. So in this case, we look like that we're going to be pretty much trading between 40 and 54. That's kind of our first ranges of support and resistance, our floor to ceiling, as you will. But as far as hard support, 37.8 to 39 is that literally hard if it tries to poke through the 40 here. But looking at if we break 54, we obviously are going to test between 54 and 66. I'd love to see those numbers even before reinstatement comes out, because reinstatement will obviously get some pretty good momentum, knowing that, hey, there's some seriousness going on with this thing. It's not just going to be a dead shell anymore. Obviously, there's some talk around saying it's going to be a $1.5 billion merger here. I want to see some numbers I want to see some numbers first to believe it. But as long as that story stays around, it's going to bring interest. It's going to build hype. It's going to bring momentum. And with that is a lot of money. So in that sense, we'll see how this thing goes. Obviously, I do see some dollars here on the pivot point up to $1.07. I don't know. We'll see how far this continues to build between new legs up and down. We did have a high of 52.7, and we are down on this pullback to 40. So we are ready for the next leg, as you will. So in this next leg, I wanted to break that 54 and test, low 60s tomorrow. So that would be nice to see. We'll see how that goes. Another play, PFMS. I'll just go ahead and cover it real quickly. This play has been trading sideways quite a while. It's been a long period of time. Looking at this play, I mean, we've tested the mid 30s to upper 30s for so long. We've kind of actually developed a little bit lesser bottom challenge with a little bit more selling volume down here. If you look at the chart, we actually have a little bit more red bars where people are just going to go ahead and pull their money out. They're tired of waiting. They want to go ahead and use that funds for something else. I understand, some of these people got in early and don't want to afford the wait. With that being said, it is very thin on the bid side. It does seem like there is more people stacking the ask. I don't know if that's their way of hoping that, they get sales on that or sold or whatever, but the ask was stacked pretty heavy on Friday. I think up close to 3 million or something shares between 37 and 40. We'll see how that level 2 looks tomorrow. But everybody does want to kind of keep this thing above 35 for the most part. It did pick up, and we obviously turned green just for a little bit on 37. But strong support seems to obviously be 30. We look back here on the chart-ish. I can see 27, 26. We've hit 29 and 30 right here. So it's kind of holding that area as far as a support, as far as absolute bottom. I will be curious to see if they actually more impatience does drag on. But as we looking back, they did file that Form 15. Looking at my paperwork, I cannot find anything that says anything to do with that they have a deadline to file after a Form 15. I know there was some stuff buzzing around. Okay, they have 60 days in order to file filings after this Form 15. Looking back at this, August 14th. Let's see here. So you've got August, September, and October. So they think October 15th being 60 days, October 14th being 60 days. You know, we'll see what happens if that's really actually comes out. Like I said, I can't find any detailing that says anything that they're supposed to be after Form 15, post any kind of filings after that for 60 days. It has been something that this kind of spread on iHub. So in that case, if that were the case, you're obviously looking at October 14th, which would be Monday of next week. But from what I could tell on filings for how he's kind of laid out his filings here, you can see right here, 9/10 is when OTC markets was updated. And from what I could tell through the spreadsheet here, it seems like an average of 3 to 4 and sometimes 5 weeks. You know, 4 weeks after 9/10 is obviously October 10. And we're sitting at October 6. You know, he could drop filings October 10th, which would be Thursday. And that would be the 4-week period. Or you could look at, you know, up to 5 weeks where it could be as late as October 17th or 18th maybe. But from what I can tell, that's kind of the latest period he's ever done. And we obviously did get inclination that he submitted some filings through Nevada SOS because, you know, people got notification that filings were submitted already. And in that review, I would say that they're probably holding them to where they drop them all at once. It seems like most custodians like to drop all the filings at one time. So it just depends how much backlog they have to go through and dig through on the prior company to bring everything current. It can obviously be a task as Lazar has a bunch of plays to deal with. It looks like he's probably still got more filings for these other plays, but from what I can know, all filings have dropped for these top 4 already. It's just these bottom 4, CRGE, NXPC, VDPH, and PFMS are the only ones waiting on filing. So I think there is still more filings to drop for the top 4. It's just their starter filings have dropped. And my guess is he's probably focusing on these last 4, getting them all prepared and then dropping them in sequence, I'm guessing. But we'll see how it does this next week. I'm in no rush. As long as the 30 range holds, I feel pretty good. If we do add as low as 26 or something like that again, I'll probably add a few more. Like I said, I've been in this place since 0007. It is a waiting process. You know, why sell when there's literally no news out yet? It's just a matter of when. It's not a matter if they're going to drop news. So with that being said, I still feel strong about it. It's not the play for people that are very limited, have limited capital, and need to obviously pull their money out in order to run, you know, get into something that's moving like UNRG. Another play is LVCA. This play is going to get a lot of momentum started here. There is some interest that is building rapidly this weekend. It did make a very nice move. It's hit my volume scanner multiple times last week. It looks like it is a 2-cent trader for the most part. It seems to be trading here pretty good for the most on the sideways sector of it. But it looks like 185 seems to be holding well. That's our first area of support here. Trades pretty much on that, and then the 223. I don't know what the exact float is on it. But I do know it seems to be trading fairly small. You look at the share structure here, it's got a 250 mil AS, 167 mil OS. That float is obviously going to be smaller than 167 mil. Looking back at the old filings, I can't find it. I don't think I can find it. Yeah, it just shows it non-available right here as far as listing a float or any restricted shares. So. But they did drop an attorney letter late Friday. So with that being said, they're obviously ready for Pink Current. That attorney letter, you know, it's in respect to Pink markets that, hey, we would like to become current with our information. So I expect OTC markets to give them Pink Current status and take that yield sign off and go pink pretty quickly. They generally do it within the next day or two, sometimes a little bit longer. Just depends if they find any default or any fault of any kind within their listings here. So what's funny about this play is the controlling block is owned by the Eurst brothers, okay? And the Eurst brothers also own the controlling block of IGNG, which is also a board member with Costello. Okay, so now we're tying this play with Costello, and there's people that are probably going to start figuring up the pieces here and start tying LVCA with Costello, because the Yorst brothers are associated. They own the controlling block of LVCA, and they own the controlling block of IGNG, which obviously it was posted on IGNG that you know, Costello is now a board member on their association here. So we'll see if people pick the pieces up and like, oh wow, is Costello really buying LVCA? I don't know. I mean, I have no clue. We'll see if those rumors kind of get spread around. But you know, he's associated to the Urus brothers, and the Urus brothers on this. So in that sense, it could be possible. But obviously, key areas to break if it does push through here. Looking back in March, it hit 3 cents here, 3.5. This does trade like a fairly bigger float, I would say, as far as looking at this chart, or unless there was not much volume during this period. It's probably a good 100 mil float, I would say. I mean, it has 160 mil OS, so it could be about 100 mil or something float. But it has traded as high as 6 cents in January of this year. And it hit that twice, but it does shoot up very rapidly. It looks like from as high as almost 2 cents to 6 cents in literally that 3-day period, something like that. So in that sense, we'll see how it plays out today. It does still seem on the cheap-ish range, so to speak. But 3 cents is something new to break. We're sitting at $1.90 right now. So an add probably 150. 160, 180 range is kind of what as low as you're going to get your LVCA currently. We were sitting down here literally at a penny or sub penny back on October 4th. So this all of this, like I said, this last week it started getting a ton of volume coming in here, and it was sitting literally at 0.084. So we'll see how it plays out tomorrow. Strong play, I feel like. So with that being said, we'll go to the next play. The next play I got in mind is HMLA. And this play has got a lot of potential because Costello is buying the float. Once again, this name is continually coming around. So like I said, play the hype, play whatever. If this continues to keep rolling, people are just so enthralled with this guy. So we'll see how it does. There's obviously no news, nothing that I'm aware of on HMLA as far as actual material. It does have a very tiny flow. It's only got 36 mil S from last recorded here. They do have a Form 15, protects you from suspension, but there is no current filings, okay? There's nothing here going at all. It's zero, it's dead, it's dark defunct, but it does make a good play if those catalysts do end up dropping. But very small share structure, 100 mil AS, 36 mil OS. So I'm assuming this is kind of accurate for the most part. I mean, this was in 2015. It showed it as an 8.9 mil float. It does have a small float just because it does trade very thin. So to see numbers, if it does literally have an 8.9 float, to see numbers as high as 10 cents would not surprise me. But as this thing is, it's curling very beautifully. It did hit over 6 cents and did close over 6 cents on Friday. And, you know, obviously we've got 6.7 as far as a high to break, and we've got 5.7 as an area of support. It did break through it a little bit there on Friday to as low as 5.3 on a wick here. But 4.9, 4.8, 4.9, yeah, seems to be that area of support below 5.7. Yeah, 5.1, I won't say 5.1. That should be your area of support if it does kind of pull back to that area. But from this area, if it breaks 6.7, it's obviously going to start seeing into the 7. So prepare on that one for hype and more continuation, especially if Costello really actually brings something through. He was taking out the bashers, I guess, on iHub. He's the bully beater here on iHub that we're bashing it. So claiming that, yes, he is buying a bunch of these shares. He is locking the float and, you know, like I said, play it one step at a time. CYIO, another play. I alerted this one back in July. Very good play, but I alerted it right here. This was in July 11th right here. It's during this whole run, and it was literally on just volume and momentum of how I seen this chart building back. Let's see, where did July start? Yeah, right in here, July 10th, July 8th, July 9th. It was somewhere around in here is when I first started seeing it, and it hit as high as 14 from a low of roughly 3 cents a share. I mean, it moves like air. It's got a very tiny share structure. They just got reinstated September 30th or 29th, I believe. So filings could come next for this play. 36 mil OS, obviously very tiny, but this is very old and out of date. We'll see if they actually bring forth some stuff to get us, up to date, up to par. It does have a Form 15. You're protected from suspension. There is no SEC delinquents associated to it, which is good for swing plays. We're sitting at 10 cents. And like I said, it hit a high of 14 there. So I think we probably could easily break it. There is some interest building this weekend on it. It looks like our first area of support is 9 cents. Looks like we've got 9.5 here. We've got 9 tested there. And we did hit as low as 8 there. But like I said, this is a tiny float. It does not take much to make movement or breaks. But it looks like 908 is literally a very good support area. We're sitting at 10 cents. Our next resistance areas to break is 11 and 13, 6, 13.3, 13.6, and obviously 14, as we've got probably some shares that were bought here on 14 on this spike. So that'll be the first area of resistance to break. And it shows 15, 9, 17, 19, and 22. But as anything goes, this, comparing to UNRG, if you want to compare a play like UNRG to that on share structure, this was back in 2010. It still has a 31 mil S. According to the TA agent associated to UNRG, this is still accurate, okay? And you look at this as a 31 mil OS, and then you look at CYIO as a 33, 36 mil OS. There's a very similarities in the OS, okay? And this still could be accurate. There's no telling. You can contact a TA agent probably and try to figure it out, as there's obviously nothing up to date to show us this. But when you compare the two plays with similar OSs, there's no telling what the float is. And, you kind of compare the moves. I mean, this could easily see 20 cents or 30 cents, just depending on what is literally out there for it. But very nice movement so far, as when it did sell off back in July here. It did come down as low as $0.015 and 2 cents in September. And it's slowly built its way up as more people are locking this float or accumulating shares. We'll see how it does tomorrow. But there is interest built on that one, so not a play to forget about. A couple others, RMSL. We did get into this one last week as well, some of us. It did do a massive move, literally from $0.01 all the way to 4 cents. On some filing news of an offering coming in at 6 cents, okay, 50 million share offering. And offerings are generally not a good thing, but in the case of this offering, it's actually a price that's well above current PPS. But as we see, let's see, I know there's some more details of it actually in the 8K down here. But yeah, per share, 6 cents per share right here is the offering. Total maximum of 3 million, price to the public. That's $3 million. But it's a 50 million share lot. Where's the details on it? It's down here. Okay, yeah, here we go. Up to 50 million shares of common stock, par value of 1, on a best ever offering base by the officers and directors of the company, and an offering price of 6 cents per share. Minimum purchase is $6,000 or 100,000 shares, although the company reserves the right to accept subscription for lesser amounts. It does have a 1 billion AS, 73 million issued and outstanding in the circular. And as we go back to the OS on this thing, it still does this tiny little 14 mil float. Okay, it's still small, in my opinion, for stock price literally at 2 cents. Okay, that's tiny. It is pink current. It is up to par. They have dropped news, I think, a little bit here in the past. Yeah, 916 receives production of the new Deltaware CPAP interface, but it is like I guess a CPAP company of some kind. But something to watch this next week. Looking at the chart on it, it looks like 240s is kind of 242 is a good area of support. Did not break that after its big run here on that offering. But as you look across the board here, 240 seems fairly average as far as for past resistances and current supports, and we are resting on that. So I mean, the low support is literally at 2 cents. We have hit 170, 190, 180s as far as the support area. And obviously during this whole down period, it was as low as 180, 150, and 101 right here. But with more eyes on it, this could actually bounce back and continue. But good plays altogether as far as those I mentioned. That's pretty much the plays I want to spotlight. SPNV is another one that we did play this last week. I'll go ahead and cover it real quick. A lot of insider loading, okay? Lots of insider loading. This chart did not start until literally September of this year, okay? So it's a fresh new chart. You go back in time here, there's literally nothing until this candlestick right here of September 27, 2019. It's when it piqued my interest. It is a penny stock exempt. It was pink current play, but they just got uplisted to QX, literally the very top of the chain for OTC markets. But lots of accumulation. Okay, there's literally between $3 and $6 million running through this play every single day. I've got actually a level 2 times in sales that shows me all the market maker orders coming through, and it comes up as yellow. Okay, so there's red for retail selling, and there's green for retail buying, and then I have yellow for market maker buying and selling. It shows me up or down. So in this sense, there was a ton of yellow flowing through this play. You go back and look at this stock. Like I said, it went penny stock exempt and went QX very quickly. I mean, literally last week it was just pink, and then when I checked Friday and it got uplisted to QX. It's got a small share, a fairly smallish share structure, not the smallest thing, but it trades very, very low risk, very thin. These past filings, they've dropped a ton of Form 4s. Okay, just continually Form 4s since this whole chart started. Okay. Just tons and tons and tons of Form 4s. So obviously they're still loading, and it's new officers being listed for this play. So I mean, no telling where this thing they could take it. They could take it to $1. I don't know what their plan is for it. But it caught my interest on this last 8K right here on October 10th, to where on October 1st, Superior Energy Services announced that its board of directors authorized a new stock repurchase program of up to $15 million of its outstanding shares of common stock. So they're literally buying the float up with $15 million worth. So with that being said, we'll see what happens. It's got my interest. It seems to be low risk and continue rolling. So another play to spotlight. So, I mean, with other plays I've got on my list, you obviously got GGRN, you got LEGE with a potential merger coming on that one. Very small share structure, good one to watch as well. But a lot of interest on this. Trade's very thin. I've got EXLA, IKTO with an a recently updated OS reduction, ECTE, MXMG, HIRU, and LUDG, LUDG. We played this one earlier as well. So quite a few plays to look forward to this next week. They just dropped some filings. I think it was, October 4th on Friday, another quarterly filing. So they're in their way here to become pink current as well. Obviously, an attorney letter needs out as well. And this trade's very, very fast. It's a very easy mover play. So ones to watch just next week. That pretty much covers it as far as for my live stock watch list for tonight. If you guys got any questions, feel free to holler in the chat room, and we'll go from there.